The Japanese once carried an unshakable belief that their tanks were untouchable. Machine or not, the Type 95 Hago had become a symbol proof that Japan's brilliance could roar through jungles, crush enemies, and carve fear into any battlefield. In China, in Manchuria, across Malaya and the Philippines, this little machine seemed unstoppable. To the men who rode inside, it was more than armor. It was pride. It was security. It was home. Agile. Fast. Efficient. A king of the tropics. A crown of Japanese engineering. But war has a cruel way of exposing lies we desperately want to believe. What began as confidence would soon unravel into something far darker. A revelation carved not by swords or honor, but by diesel smoke, shattering steel, and the brutal scream of .50 caliber fire. Its story didn't begin with defeat. It began in 1933 with hope. The Imperial Army saw itself as modern, bold, deserving of machines that matched its ambition. Yet its pride at the time, the Type 89, crawled forward like an exhausted relic, barely 15 miles per hour. Too slow, too old, unsuitable for the lightning-fast future Japan envisioned, so engineers were ordered to create something new, something revolutionary, something light, something that could race ahead with motorized infantry and crush resistance before it had time to breathe. Mitsubishi received the challenge, and at the center of the project stood engineer Tomio Hara, a quiet mind whose ideas would define Japanese armor for an entire decade. His innovation, the bell crank suspension, gave birth to a tank that danced rather than rolled. By 1934, the prototype emerged. Small, thin, shockingly quick. 45 kilometers per hour on roads, 30 on rough earth. Observers were stunned. It could turn instantly, glide over ground, others sank in two, and survive climates that Western armor dreaded. Japan had found its spearhead, but hidden inside that achievement was a flaw so fatal it would one day kill the men who trusted it. The armor was only 12 millimeters thick, just enough to stop rifles. Not enough to stop a war. Still, the army adored it. They named it the Type 95, began production in 1936, and spread it all across Asia. It was barely 7 tons. Barely 7 feet tall. Inside, 3 crewmen worked shoulder to shoulder. The driver fought the controls. The machine gunner covered the front. The commander corps soldered everything else. Load, aim, fire, coordinate, watch, think, and decide. It was hellishly cramped. But in China, it worked. The Hago ruled the battlefield, and the men inside grew confident. Too confident. Too confident. Then came 1939. Khalkhin, a dusty Mongolian graveyard waiting to happen. Japanese tankers arrived expecting victory. Instead, they met Soviet BT tanks faster, stronger, and armed with violent 45mm guns. The Hago's armor, so thin it could be pierced by fate itself, failed instantly. Soviet shells punched through them as if the tanks were made of paper lanterns. Dozens, Bornet crews, died trapped inside ovens of flame. It should have been the wake-up call Japan needed. Instead, its commanders declared it an anomaly, an exception, a battle that didn't count. Denial is the most comforting lie war can offer. 2 years later, Japan exploded across the Pacific. Hagos rolled past British roadblocks no one believed tanks could cross. American defenders in the Philippines were over. The Hago even stood toe-to-toe with US stewards and lived to boast about it. Victory after victory resurrected an old, dangerous faith. Our tanks are enough, but faith is fragile, and Saipan would shatter it beyond repair. June 1944. Saipan, the island that stood between Japan and the bombers that could reach Tokyo. Japan could not afford to lose it, so the 9th Tank Regiment, under Colonel Takashi Go, was sent to defend it with 44 armored vehicles Hagos and Type 97 Chiha tanks mixed together. The night of June 17th was eerily quiet. Too quiet, then the earth trembled. Engines growled awake. Exhaust poured into the night. Inside those hoggos, 3 men would sit trapped in a metal box with no chance of escape once it ignited. Still, they believed they had trained for this, prepared for this, lived for this. Confidence is a warm blanket when fear starts to rise. Marine sentries heard the rumble before they saw the shape's dark silhouettes rushing through the gloom. Contact flares burst into the sky. The battlefield turned ghost white. And then, the roar of grounding. 50 caliber machine guns split the night open. Tracers streaked forward, and for the first time in their lives, Japanese tank crews witnessed something unthinkable. The bullets didn't bounce. They went through. Clean through. Through the armor. Through the men. Through the engine. Out the far side of the tank. Inside, sparks erupted from every wall. Hot fragments sliced into flesh. Rounds ricocheted wildly. Crewmen screamed in the suffocating darkness. Some tanks died before their crews even understood what had happened. A captured officer later said he thought the Americans had invented a new weapon. He couldn't believe an infantry gun or machine gun could tear open a tank like tin. But the truth was brutal. The Browning M2 could penetrate nearly twice the Hago S armor thickness. Mother Nature doesn't lie. Physics doesn't lie. Doctrine doesn't lie. And that night, the Hago's armor paid the price, as some tanks burned from the inside out. American Sherman tanks, advanced monsters of war weighing over 30 tons, dwarfing the fragile 7-ton Hago. Their 75mm guns fired shells that obliterated Hagos in a single hit. Japanese rounds bounced off Sherman armor as harmlessly as thrown stones. The Japanese counterattack dissolved into panic. Burning Hagos lit the field like funeral pyres. Infantry riding on top jumped off, only to be cut down instantly. Shermans rolled straight over foxholes with Marines hiding inside. The Marines crawled out, circled behind, and destroyed the Hogos with grenades and fire. By dawn, the battlefield was silent, except for the crackle of burning metal. 31 Japanese tanks lay dead. The regiment was shattered. Saipan's night had turned Japanese armor into twisted coffins. For Marines walking the field at sunrise, the truth was undeniable. Bullet holes everywhere, front plates, rear plates, side armor, entry wounds, exit wounds, perfect circles where men had died. To Japan, the Hago was never just a machine. It was a belief, a symbol, a promise that the Empire's spirit could overcome any foe. But on Saipan, that promise died. The realization hit like a hammer. Their tanks were not just outmatched. They were obsolete the moment they were built. Japan had produced about 2,000 Hagos in total. America was producing Shermans by the hundreds every single month. Detroit alone could outbuild all of Japan's wartime tank factories combined. Workers, men and women, labored day and night. Production lines never slept. Steel never cooled. By the war's end, America had built nearly 50,000 Shermans. Japan's attempts at improved tanks, the Shannu, the Chitua, were too late, too few, too hopeless to change anything. So Japan began burying its tanks in sand, in caves, in volcanic ash. Not to fight, but to hide. At Iwo Jima, Colonel Nishi's tanks were entombed like gravestones. On Okinawa, 27 Japanese tanks charged against 800 American Shermans. They were erased in hours. By 1945, the Hago, once celebrated as proof of Japanese genius, was nothing more than the ghost of a broken empire. No speed, no armor, no chance. The Battle of Saipan didn't just destroy a tank, it destroyed an idea. The idea that courage alone could stop bullets, that spirit could overcome steel, that bravery could replace armor. And in the silence after the battle, among the burned hulls and blackened earth, the Japanese crews who survived learned a truth carved into the metal around them. Bravery without strength is not victory, it is sacrifice. Thanks for watching. If you found this story compelling, Please hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. See you in the next one.